Welcome to Zion's Hub, promoting the gospel of Christ. Kindly do well to like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to our channel to get updates on more of our impactful gospel content. God bless you.
If you want to carry God's presence, be pure, sir. Live a holy life. I, oh Lord, am of a purer eyes. My eyes cannot behold iniquity. You can't move around with iniquity and expect God's presence to validate you. That's why today men of God are looking for all kinds of things to validate them. In the days of the fathers, you didn't need to snap a picture with somebody to have validation. When they walk into a city, they came with a cloud. God himself is the one who announces them. How do you think this man took the word without internet, without telephone? How did they take the word? There was something they carried. When Moses came to the court of Pharaoh, there was no credential. God was his credential. The God of the Hebrew have sent me. Let my people go that they may serve me. Who is he? Don't worry, he will come here. I didn't come with theology, but I came with presence. I may not have theology, but I have presence. I have presence. And the guy dropped his rod, and his rod became a serpent. The Egyptians wise men did it. Moses' rod swallowed their own. And as you study that story, you see that the presence kept growing. After the 10th plague, the presence became Shekinah. That which was invincible became visible. And when they went out, the Bible said God went before them as a pillar of cloud by day and as a pillar of fire by night. The presence had built up upon the man until it became a cloud. We are shouting, singing. God's presence is not there because our garments are not pure. Something is wrong with our being. Blessed are the pure in heart. I quoted already Matthew 5:8. They are the ones who see God. Who stands? Who is he that stands in the mountains of God? Psalm 24 verse 3 to 5. Who stands upon his holy hills is the man that is of a pure heart. His hands are clean. He has not lifted his soul in vanity. You find people who carry God's presence in a sustained manner. Check. There's something they are doing with grace to keep their garments pure. We lack God's presence. And when you lack God's presence, you will suffer. You will suffer. Your Christianity will be bedeviled with a lot of crises that you can't resolve. What did Moses have? All Moses carried that made him shut down Egypt, walk through the Sinai desert, enter the promised land was God's presence. The Bible said their shoe grew with them. Their garments did not wax old. That means a man who carries God's presence has abundance. He said he rebuked kings for their sakes. Touch not my anointed. Do my prophets no harm. Nobody could fight them. God's presence. And you need to read the Bible to know the people they battled with. The Bible spoke of Sihon, the king of the Amorite. It spoke of Og, the king of Bashan. Their warriors were beastly men. A man could stand up and he looked like a bear. Some of them had hairs like tigers. Those were the people they were fighting. There was no military training. They were not even coordinated because they were slaves all their lives. But without military intelligence, without economic power, they went with the Shekinah. Nations opened. Armies were shut down. Provisions came. Even the rock gave them water. What are you talking? The rock. The Bible said he cleft the rock also and the waters gushed out. In the desert, how can water come in the desert? When they needed food, manna came from heaven and they told Moses, we want to eat meat. Moses said, why are you tempting God? God said, no, tell them to go forward. Even in the desert, meat can come. And the Bible said he commanded the east wind and he brought quails. Birds were sitting on bed. So there was meat, there was food, there was protection, there was provision because of the presence. He suffered no man to do them harm. He gave a commandment in the spirit. Touch not my anointed. Do my prophets no harm. They carried the presence. How have we become so helpless? How have we become so powerless? How have we become so useless? Because there's no presence. They had to look for men to cause them to be able to fight them because they were too powerful and they were using stones. He said, the Lord is my banner. When they went to fight, all Moses needed to do was to put his hand up. The Lord is my banner. There was an atmosphere over these people. The Bible said Moses sent soldiers out. When they returned, more than 18 battalions, he said no man was missing. Not one. Not one man was missing. They fought wars without casualties. I prophesy over someone, as you make up your mind to live pure, the presence of God will tabernacle over you. I said the presence of God will tabernacle over you. He said, him that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High abides under the shadow of the Almighty. He shall say of his God, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I will trust. He shall be my shield and my buckler. See, 1,000 shall fall by your side, 10,000 by your right hand, it shall not come near you. I decree and declare, the presence of God is your banner. Sit down for a moment. The presence orchestrated by purity. You think Satan is not smart? He saw that Job was hedged by God on every side. Nothing could harm him. And he went to provoke the guy. It didn't work. Use his wife. Curse God. If you break the hedge, the serpent will bite. Most of us use impurity to break the hedge. Your business would have been intact until you became creative about carrying women to go and sleep with them in other country. Your family would have remained intact until you deployed intelligence on how to change figures in the office, and you didn't know what you were doing was breaking the hedge. And then the glory that covered your life, that brought protection, that brought honor, suddenly leaves and you discover you are naked. Was that not the case of Adam? Carried God's glory, carried God's presence until he rebelled. Power of purity. Number 2, it attracts favor. Daniel chapter 1 verse 8 to 9. It's not everything you achieve by men laying hands on you. There are certain things that principles provoke. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he will not defy himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor the wine which they drank. Therefore he requested of the eunuch that he might not defy himself. See the implication, next verse. Now God brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the eunuch. You refuse defilement. It will look like a disadvantage for a while, but over time, what favor will provoke will be more than what you would have achieved for yourself using human intelligence. Genesis 39 verse 2 to 9. Look at Joseph. The Bible said in Romans 15 verse 4, the things that were written aforetime, they were written for our learning, so that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Look at the things written aforetime. And the Lord was with Joseph. You will see why God was with Joseph. It was purity. And he was a prosperous man. And he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. So even slaves can prosper if God is with them. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord has made all that he did to prosper in his hands. Because of God's presence, he was promoted. And Joseph found grace, which is also favor, in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house. In all that is his house, he put in his hand. But why did he have this kind of favor? You will see that in verse 9. And it came to pass from that time, he was made overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake, and the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in his house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had save the bread which he eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. So the master didn't even know his wealth. All he knew was food was there to eat. Joseph was in charge of everything. And he said Joseph was well favored. He was favored to the degree that he was promoted to be an overseer. But what was at the foundation? We will now see why he was so favored. Verse 8 and 9. Go to verse 7. Ah, 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 And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph and said, lie with me. This is where we discovered the secret of Joseph's favor and power. He said, but he refused. I wish God will raise a generation of people that can refuse. And you will see favor like never before. You will see divine presence. The problem we have is that we can't refuse. And in our generation, they don't even entice us. We are the one who draw them to us. In the name of seeking favor. Favor that does not come from God. He refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotted not what is with me in the house, and he had committed all that he had to my hands. He doesn't even know what he has. All that he has is in my care. I'm the one who tells him his worth. He said, therefore, is none greater in this house than I, neither had he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? He was a pure man. The woman accused him in an undeniable fashion because he cut his shirt. It looked as if purity was a disadvantage. And the guy spent 2 years in prison. But what we saw eventually was that those 2 years took him where his lifetime outside purity would never have taken him. The Bible said until the time that his word came. It said the word of the Lord tried him. The king sent for to lose him. Even the ruler of the people. He made him lord of his house. He had gone beyond Potiphar. Where God took him to, even Potiphar couldn't approach. You are not losing by being pure. You stand your ground for God and see the testimonies your life will command. Purity attracts favor, and not just favor, favor that brings promotion. Daniel was promoted. Joseph was promoted. You will be promoted. Number 3, purity releases spiritual power and authority. You saw already 2 Timothy 2:21. If any man purges himself, not if an apostle, not if a prophet. It's not about an office. You can occupy an office. If you are not pure, you will face reproach. If a man therefore purges himself from these things, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, and meet for the master's use, prepared for every good works. Prepared for every good work. That's authority. I showed you already. Psalm 24 verse 3 to 5. Who shall stand in the mountains of God? Who shall stand upon his holy hills? Who is that person? It's not an apostle. It's not a prophet. It is him that is of a clean hands, of a pure heart, who has not lifted his soul in vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. You will wield power if you live pure. God is not a respecter of persons. You live pure, you will see power. And power is not just for preaching. The covering that your children requires is sponsored by power. The prosperity that your family needs is sponsored by power. The preservation that you require is sponsored by power. Not self-power, power of the Spirit. Because God is not doing business with your power. is doing business with the power of the Holy Ghost. That's why it says it's not by power or by might. So it's not by what you have, it's by the Spirit. But the way you access spirit power is by walking pure. Don't let any Satan deceive you. That if you fall, you ask for forgiveness, you'll be forgiven. Yes, you will, but you remain a child. And the heir that remains a child is not different from a servant. Fight to live holy. The power of purity. Number one, it provokes access and sustenance of divine presence. Number two, it attracts divine favor that brings promotion. Number three, it releases spiritual power and authority. Number four, it sharpens spiritual discernment. When a man does not live pure, everything he sees is contaminated. So he can't discern anymore. He can't separate between what is good or bad. The Bible said in Titus 1:15, it said, to the pure, all things are pure. So a pure man can see from the realm of God. To the pure, all things are pure. But to them that are defiled and unbelieving, nothing pure. Even their mind and conscience is defiled. So they can't walk in discernment. You find Christians who are confused every day. They can't pick God's thoughts. They can't pick God's position. It's because their inner man is defiled. And so the lenses to see is corrupt. That's why they keep pursuing prophets everywhere, from mountain to forest to bush to river. Whereas Jesus said, my sheep heareth my voice. How come you can't hear? Because you can't see God. It's those who are pure in heart that can see God. They are the one who can discern God's perspective. It says strong meat belong to them. Hebrews 5:14. Who by reason of use have exercised their senses. I'm giving you strong meat here. Exercise their senses to discern between good and evil. You need discernment. I tell you, your life is a catalog of decisions. Nothing is more numerous in your life than decisions. Every ladder is a decision. And so those who lack discernment, they are done for in life. But it takes purity to walk in discernment. Number 5, purity imparts boldness. And you need boldness to get ahead in life. Even the apostles of Jesus, when they were beaten and flogged and their confidence was depleted, they returned back to the posture of the upper room. The Bible said they went to their own company, locked the door and hid themselves. That means one of the propellers of that conclave was boldness. And when they prayed, that's one thing God gave them. In Acts 4 verse 31, when they had prayed, they were filled with the Spirit. The place where they were was shaking. And the Lord gave them the power to speak the word with boldness. And when boldness came, verse 33, with great power, God gave them witness of the resurrection of Jesus, and great grace was upon them. Those who don't have boldness, they can't advance God's kingdom. Prayer, like you have seen, sponsors boldness. But it's not only prayer that sponsors boldness. Purity also sponsors boldness. Proverbs 28:1 says, the righteous is as bold as a lion. 1 John 3:21-22, it says, if our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence. The moment you lose your purity and your heart condemns you, you lose your boldness. And the Bible says, cast not away your confidence, for it has what? A great recompense of reward. So if you want the reward that boldness brings, keep your garment pure. Some of the things we say here, do you think we can say them? If there's any sister here that I send a message, let's meet in a hotel, can I say what I'm saying? You can't have the audacity, sir. So it's not about revelation only. It's about boldness that is born from purity. See many preachers every day they say let's forbear, let's forbear. They are careful so that their own canker worms are not open. We are losing authority even from the altar because holy men are few. We don't have pure vessels anymore. How many people can challenge government? How dare you? You know the conversation you had with them behind the curtain. So you can't come here and talk to them, sir. So when we gather, all we say is, let's pray for government. No, we don't only pray for government. There is a time when we speak truth to power. But you can't speak truth to power if you are compromised. So we are losing ground because we lack purity. I believe in praying for those in power. We do. But there is a time when you call a spade a spade. You tell truth to power. And if you have nothing from them, they can't do anything. He said, the prince of this world cometh to me and findeth nothing. So I can speak with audacity because my garments are pure. That's Jesus' testimony. Number 6. Purity prepares and opens you up to divine visitation. Again, I show you Matthew 5:8. The pure in heart see God. So they receive visitations and habitation with God. In Psalm 15 verse 1 to 2, he said, Lord, who shall abide in that tabernacle? He said, it is him that walketh uprightly. Him that walketh uprightly. Don't you know that when corruption comes, encounters shut down? In 1 Samuel 3 from verse 1, in those days, the voice of the Lord was cast. There were no open visions. And the eerie lamp in the temple had gone out. Why? Hophni and Phinehas were corrupting and defiling the altar. You can't have encounters, divine visitations, where there's no purity. Those of you listening to me, ask yourself, the days when you're burnt with fire, will a month pass before you have an encounter? How come all your encounters were 5 years ago? Something has gone wrong. God kept visiting Adam in the garden until he rebelled and he was driven from the garden. You cut off encounters when you stain your garment with defilement. Finally, purity is a weapon against Satan. Believe me, Satan fears men who walk pure. It's not just about screaming Jesus, Jesus. Lift up your heads, O ye gates. Be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors, that the King of glory might come in. Who is the King of glory? When you meet a principality, when you shout Jesus, he will say, who are you? Because even Jesus, he met him after fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. Because a principality is not a demon. You don't cast him out, you wrestle with him. And you can't wrestle with him when you have given him a place. That's why Paul said, giving no place to the devil. Jesus said in John 14:30, the prince of this world cometh to me and findeth nothing. He said, when your obedience is complete, then you avenge other disobedience. Putting on the whole armor of God, wherewith you are able to withstand all the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in heavenly places. But to do that, we must put on. He didn't say the Holy Ghost will put on you. He said you put on the helmet of salvation, the breastplate of righteousness, the belt of truth, the boot of the readiness of the gospel, the shield of faith, and the sword of the spirit. Many people are carrying Rhema without breastplate of righteousness. You fornicated yesterday, you are coming to quote Rhema. You changed figures in the office yesterday, you are coming to quote Rhema. Which Rhema is that? Your chest is empty. Before you stretch the sword, the arrow will enter you. So purity has powers. And the first is access and sustenance of divine presence. The second is attraction of divine favor that brings promotion. Favor Favor is not something you should pray for a whole year, sir. There's the way you live your life that favor will pursue you. The third is spiritual power and authority. The fourth is sharpened discernment. You can't be confused. No confused man exercises dominion. Dominion is for people who have precision. The fifth is boldness and audacity to wield the power of God. The sixth is unending divine visitations that result in divine habitation. And the seventh is weapons, not just to fight, but to withstand the wiles of the devil. This is why every Christian must build purity.